Hi, this is Gerry Cobb, Director of State Services for the BUILD Initiative, and I'm really pleased to welcome you all here today. Thanks for being a part of this webinar. This will actually be the first in what will become a monthly series of webinars that we'll be doing over the next year, so we'll keep you informed about that going forward. Today we're pleased to have Laura Johns, Director of Quality Initiatives from the State of Georgia's Department of Early Care and Learning. Laura actually did an initial presentation for us on their online system last month for another group, and we were so impressed with all she had to share that we wanted to share it with a larger group of you, so we're so glad that you were able to join us today. I do have everybody on mute just to reduce background noise. So if you have questions during the course of the presentation, you can either put them in the chat box, or if you want to ask a question verbally, if you'll raise your hand, when it comes to a good stopping point, I'll recognize you, and then you can unmute yourself. To unmute, just press *7, and to mute yourself is *6. So with that, I will turn it over to Laura Johns. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Gerry. Good afternoon, everyone. I was almost saying good morning. So I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of our quality rated system, and then give you a tour of the online components of our system from beginning to end, from both the user perspective and then from the administrator's perspective. And I just want to, just so that you all know, I just want to recognize that with me during the webinar is the project coordinator for the online system of quality rated, Marcy Shamp. She's one of the brains behind the system, but also I believe on the call is Connie Fisher, who is the technical lead on the system, and her staff, who deserve all the credit for the system that you're about to look at. So just a brief overview of quality rated in general. Our quality rating improvement system measures both process quality through the environment rating scales and also structural quality through an online portfolio submission. We have 3 levels to our system, and it's a STAR system, so programs who are compliant with our licensing, which is our bottom floor, can earn up to 3 stars by meeting requirements in both the quality and structural components of our system. The online system walks a provider through from application all the way through portfolio submission, and also tracks all of their movement through the process, as well allows them an opportunity to get all of their resources, ask for technical assistance, order their incentive packages at each of their quality levels. So it's a pretty highly developed system in its first year, so I imagine we will continue to modify it as we go. One of the unique components of the quality rated system here in Georgia is that we have a very robust cohort project in which we are working with same like users who work with one technical assistance organization or provider to help them seamlessly move through the quality rated system. We were very lucky early on in the system to recruit all of the discovery points, all of the Goddards, the Learning Care Group, the Sunshine House, and KinderCare, so major providers in our state who committed to have 100% participation in our system. And so we work with them not only for each of the individual sites to meet the requirements and go through quality rated, but also to look at the system changes that would need to happen in order for the schools to meet certain components. So it's a tiered technical assistance approach. We're working with the corporate sponsors on policies and procedures to help their programs maintain quality rated levels, but also at the center level, working with programs after they've had a baseline ERS component so that they can be successful. We have a very robust family child care cohort. We have a cohort that is Latino family child care providers in our state. There are 31 of them in this cohort who receive all their technical assistance and support in their home language. And we are working with a Montessori program cohort to identify indicators not only within our portfolio, but within the environment rating scales that may not be supportive of their pedagogy, and modifying our system to make sure that we are respectful of the way in which they do their practices. Another huge feature of Quality Rated is the Incentives Project. Programs who join Quality Rated have 3 opportunities for incentives. The first is after they've been in technical assistance and had a baseline and they have all of their staff submitted into our professional development registry, they can receive $1,000 worth of materials to add to the materials in their classroom to help build their ERS scores. When they submit a portfolio to us, they get a thank you from the state of Georgia in the tune of $500 that they can spend in any way they'd like. And then following their process, once they've been rated, they have the opportunity to receive anywhere between $2,000 to $6,000 worth of incentives. The higher level incentives are at the lower star level. For example, a 1-star school could get up to $6,000 worth of materials and supplies that really help them be in a better place to move into the 2-star category. At the highest incentive, the 3-star category, we do not supply any materials. By that time, a program should have the materials that they need. At that point, the incentives turn to bonuses for the staff and the directors. Each director in a 3-star program receives $500. That includes the assistant directors. And each teacher in a 3-star school receives a $250 bonus from the state. So a nice, robust incentive program. The added incentive in July will be tiered reimbursement that will be increasingly, will have an increase based on the star level of the program. And then finally, as far as a feature of Quality Rated, is that all of the professional development for programs who are in the Quality Rated process is provided at no cost to that program. We do require a significant amount of training at each level. It builds from our basic requirement here in the state of 10 hours. And so in order for programs to be able to afford that, we provide that at no charge through our resource and referral system. We also provide through the resource and referral system and several contractors technical assistance for programs in Quality Rated. So the online system was designed starting in 2011 and launched January 2012. It was in-house design and development, and it really takes us from the application through a program requesting training or technical assistance. It also looks at tracking the registration process. They submit a portfolio online, and the portfolio captures their continuous quality improvement plans, of which there are 2, one based around family engagement and the second based around health, safety, and nutrition. We also monitor all the incentives through the online system. We have a very nice resource database. We collect reports and data from the online system. Every week we submit a report to our state leaders. And the online system allows for a lot of communication. At key components of the portfolio, there are email messages sent out to the center. We also can remind them that they haven't touched their portfolio in a while, or if they submitted an application but never moved into the portfolio phase, we can email them and give them a continuous reminder. So the communication through the online system is also pretty robust. So the quality rated components from a scoring system consist of the structural quality portfolio, and the portfolio captures 5 program standards. The first standard is director and teacher qualifications. All of the teachers and administrators in quality rated schools are required to have their credentials verified through the Professional Standards Commission through a professional development registry in our state. And that registry speaks to our online system. So once you sign up to be in quality rated and you open your portfolio, if your staff is already in the registry, they're pre-populated in your portfolio, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you in a moment. The second program standard is the Child Health, Nutrition, and Physical Activity Standard. This component deals with an online assessment, so the program can look at where they stand in these 3 domains, and then programs write action plans and upload evidence of meeting their action plans. Our third standard is family partnership. This is a standard where they complete Strengthening Families training. We have embedded the training portal into our website, so they come into our portfolio, and that takes them to a 2-hour online 4-credit course on strengthening families and the protective factors. They complete that training, and then that moves them into the GEMS website so they can complete the Strengthening Families assessment, go through action plans, upload their action plans to us, and then upload their evidence that they've completed their action plans. Program standard number 4 deals with intentional teaching practices. That is the area of the portfolio that talks about the type of curriculum the program is using. They actually write a very lengthy narrative talking about how their curriculum matches the NAEYC ideals of an appropriate curriculum. They submit lesson plans that are linked to learning standards and linked to assessment in the classroom, and they have both narrative and then documents that they upload for each of the criteria for that standard. And
Laura, we've got a question. They're asking, what is the GEMS website?
Sure. The GEMS website is the website that you go through. It's the portal to go through to reach the Strengthening Families online assessment. So it's just the portal. It's called the GEMS site. The 5th program standard deals with teacher-student ratios. In our state, programs earn points for lower ratios. They are not penalized for classroom size and group size. Many of our programs in the state of Georgia have a basic floor plan, and a toddler room was built for 20 toddlers, and that's what it takes to meet the budget threshold for that classroom. And so in order to be supportive of the providers who are really thinking about budget and making sure they can stay open week to week, we encourage lower ratios and primary caregiving groups and give points for that. We collect data on group size, but we do not deduct points for group size. Then you'll see this process quality box also on your screen. The process quality box is where we input data regarding their environment rating scales. We observe 1/3 of each of the ERS age groups, so 1/3 of the infant toddler programs, 1/3 of the preschool programs, 1/3 of Georgia pre-K. We separated that from just our preschool because we know that in general, Georgia pre-K programs are pretty high quality and may falsely inflate a score if we only looked at Georgia pre-K or included them within the entire preschool population. And then we also look at 1/3 of the school-age programs. Programs also receive extra credit for accreditation. Any of the national accreditations they can petition to receive bonus points for. And then all the points are pushed together to receive a final point score that is aligned with either a 1, 2, or 3-star rating. Just a quick look at our current participation data. We launched again in January, so we're almost at our 1-year anniversary, and we have 1,103 programs that have applied to participate in Quality Rated, which is 18% of the eligible programs in the state. Just to give you a breakdown of that, out of the 3,060 licensed child care learning centers in the state, 765 are participating, which is 25%. We're very pleased with that number. Out of the 2,899 family daycare providers in our state, 261 are participating. And out of the 259 group daycare homes, we have 30 participating, or 11%. We're also very proud of the Head Start participants. Right now we have 161 Head Start grantees participating in Quality Rated, 428 programs that have Georgia pre-K classrooms in them, and there are 125 counties represented in Quality Rated.
And this is ahead of your first-year goal of 1,000 programs, right?
Our first-year goal was actually 700 programs.
Okay.
So, yeah, a little bit ahead, so we're excited about that. Just wanted to show you the state map. I mean, Georgia is unique in that we have 159 counties in our state, and 158 counties in our state have licensed child care. And so right now we're at 125 of our counties participating with at least one program participating. Our researcher has set a nice goal for us. Our goal is to have at least 51% of eligible child care or family daycare, group daycare homes participating in every county. So 51% of the eligible programs participating in at least 51% of our counties is a 3-year goal for us. So we have a few counties that you see in white that we haven't reached yet, but we are working with our resource referral agencies to work through that. I know that Louise had asked if we had a Head Start cohort. We do. We have several. Our resource and referral agencies, especially one in particular, have Head Start cohorts. One of our resource referral agency is working with 10 unique Head Start providers in a cohort. So they're going through the project along, and she's able to respect the federal review process that's going on with those programs and really meet their needs. And Head Start programs do get all the same financial incentives as anybody else. As far as child data goes, right now there are 80,000 plus children who are participating in programs that have agreed to voluntarily go above and beyond licensing standards and become quality rated. So we're very pleased with that number. We also collect data regarding special populations so that as we are sending technical assistance out into the field, we can be very targeted. We have a very rich consortium of people working on inclusion, and our inclusion coordinator, statewide inclusion coordinator, works with a subset of people who just do technical assistance for children with special needs. And monthly she receives a report on the children with disabilities who are enrolled in programs seeking quality rating. And they reach out to that program to make sure that they are getting the technical assistance they need to be successful. We're doing the same with dual language learners, and we're looking at how we can really send additional incentives and support to our programs across the state that are serving over 12,000 children who are receiving child care subsidy. We do have a pretty robust research project that goes along with quality rated. We're in the validation phase right now. Again, our state is unique in that within the Department of Early Care and Learning, we actually have our own research director, and he has a staff that works with him. And so every program that we are designing and pretty much every step we take with quality rated is also looked at through a research lens. So they certainly helped guide us in developing the online system so that they could get the information that they needed to analyze data. We also worked with Frank Porter Graham with some TA support and developed a logic model and developed a validation and evaluation model, a robust data dictionary, and several reports. And that was in partnership and through funding with Bill, and we couldn't have done it without that support. Just to give you an idea of our validation process, right now we are very involved in inter-rater reliability for both our portfolios and for our environment rating scales. We do reliability checks every 10 visits for the environment rating scales and every 10 portfolios. We are also looking at the distribution in points among standards and criteria and looking for portfolio accuracy as it's reflected in the on-site observation. So when someone submits a portfolio, is the data that they're submitting going to be reflected when someone's on-site doing a ERS visit? And there is a long and short form randomly taken to the sites form that the ERS assessors do to look at some of the evidence that's submitted in a portfolio, but look at it in real time at the programs to offer that additional validity. In phase 3, we'll be looking at the distribution of our rating levels and across program types and really testing the various scoring structures, our weighting and our cutoff points. And then we have an evaluation plan that takes us through year 5. And you'll recognize that as we're looking at year 5, that's when we're going to start looking at quality improvement from a child's perspective. Right now, the evaluation and validation is really focused on participation, retention, what's motivating people to be in the program, and the process of the quality rated program. So I'm going to get ready to take you on a tour of the online system. We're going to look at it from many perspectives. We're going to look at it from quality rated staff, so an admin user like myself. We're going to look at it from a technical assistance perspective, from the actual program perspective, someone who's submitting a portfolio, how an incentive partner awards incentives. We are really blessed to have a lot of private partners in this venture. All of our incentives are funded through private foundations, and all of our incentives are managed through a nonprofit entity called Georgia Family Connection Partnership, part of the Family Connection network that is in every county of our state to support the engagement of families in early care education and support services for young children. We'll also have a chance to let you see what a parent would see in our system. Starting in July, when parents log into the Department of Early Care and Learning database, they'll be able to search for programs based on their zip code, but they'll also be able to search for programs based on the star level. So our PR campaign, which is being handled by the Georgia Early Education Alliance for Ready Students, which is a mouthful, they're our partner who is helping us with our public relations campaign. And in this first year, that campaign focuses on what does quality look like. And in the second year, we are focused on why parents should choose a quality rated school. So I'm going to move you all to my desktop and take you actually into the system. And please don't hesitate to type in questions, and Gerry's going to interrupt me so I can answer questions in live time. So I'm going to actually share my desktop with you. And I'm going to pull up for you the quality rated website from my perspective, so an admin user. So here is my launch page for quality rated. And I'm actually going to see if I have any applications that I can approve live time for you.
And if people are looking at this smaller screen, make sure you've got it on the full screen so you can see the full. It'll let you get a more up close personal view of it if you haven't done that.
Yeah. So Julie, you asked why we decided to build our own system. Well, the ones that were commercially available didn't give us the breadth and scope of what we wanted. We really, from a research perspective and a data collection, and from knowing the audience that we were going to serve, knew the type of system that we wanted to build. And so we felt like, since we had the in-house technology expertise, that we should just go for it. And we've been really, really pleased, and the providers who use the system have been really, really pleased with that. So it was just a choice that we made to do it the way that we wanted and customize it to the nth degree and be able to make modifications to meet the users who are using the system. So right now you're actually seeing I'm on the live site. I'm not in a test site. This is actual information. These are 4 programs who are, have just completed their application, and they've just gone through a check by both the Georgia pre-K programs, who have now said that they are approved, they are in compliance, and they are approved to continue to move through the application process. And they've gone through a nutrition check. So literally, both our pre-K and our nutrition, the databases speak to each other so that we will know that we are approving applications for programs that are in compliance with USDA food program, pre-K, and child care licensing. So I see that nutrition status has approved this site, Champions for Children in Athens, Georgia. And if I click on this application, I will literally be able to see their information, And if I wanted to review their application one more time, I can literally go back in and review their application. What is great about our system is that all of this data at the top of the application is pre-populated for the provider from our licensing database. So when a provider comes in to complete their application, the majority of the information is already populated for them. So they don't have to have redundancy. It also makes sure that we understand that this CCLC, this Child Care Learning Center 35299, is pulling the exact same data for every system that we operate here at DeKalb. So that consistency of data is very important to us. The only thing that the program goes in and populates are their phone numbers, email addresses, which might get updated, who they want us to contact via phone. They are able to populate the number of children in their age groups, the number of children enrolled and served daily. They give us self-reported demographic data on their children, demographic, race, and ethnicity data. They let us know if they're currently receiving TA from one of our resource and referral agencies. They are already receiving TA from one of our regions. And they're able to let us know that they already have a past quality designation. They were a Center of Distinction, and they were awarded in January 11th of 2011. They have no previous environment rating scale history. That will populate after we've done our visit. And they have not entered any annual renewal information because they are just submitting their first portfolio. They are compliant with child care licensing. They're in good standing with our Georgia Pre-K program. They are not enrolled in our CCFP program. So I literally can go in and now approve their application. Once I approve their application, they get an email that says your application's been approved. Your technical assistance provider will be calling you and making an appointment to come and visit you and get your baseline environment rating scales done. At that point, they'll go into a technical assistance plan and begin starting their portfolio. So I wanted you to kind of see from my perspective how a program enters our system. Also, from an administrator, I can look at all the emails that have been sent to a provider. I can search for an email. If a provider calls me and says, Laura, I never got my approval letter, I don't know why you keep saying I'm going to get an email, I will be able to go in and look at the email that was sent. I can manage incentives and observe their incentives and who's received incentives and who hasn't. I can also do pre-populated reports, whether it be a report on demographic information or a detailed phase report that lets me know where each person in quality rated is at any particular moment in time. Who's working on a portfolio, who's working on an application, who's waiting for a visit, who's had a visit, who's been rated. So I can get all those reports at a touch of a button.
So Laura, we've got a question. If a provider needs to change information that licensing has on them, do they call you or do they call their licensing specialist?
They actually call their licensing specialist, and we have an email that goes out to them saying, if you want to update your information, here's your licensing person's email and their phone number, so they can literally go right into and have that right at the tip of their hands. I will say, though, we have a quality rated help desk that's available Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 and is staffed with someone who's very well versed in not only customer service, but all of the support available to programs to be successful and quality rated. And she can also work with them and their licensing consultant to get their information changed as quickly as possible.
And if a provider isn't online, can they apply with a paper application?
So that's one thing they cannot do. Everything is handled through the online system. So, for example, if a family child care provider doesn't have the technology, then her technical assistance person would be bringing out their laptop and helping her gain the skills to have that technology. So at this moment, we haven't had anyone report that they didn't have the technology, but we've had many people report that their technology skills in uploading information need some help and support, and we've either be able to troubleshoot that from our help desk or send a technical assistance provider to that program. David also asked if people submit an application to participate every year, and the answer is yes. So every year they have an annual report they have to do and upload their portfolio, and every 3 years they have to have another environment rating scales observation in order to maintain their level or to go up or, of course, go down a level. So every 3 years they're required to have an on-site observation. In between those 3-year anniversaries, they can keep their same level by just submitting an online portfolio for review. If maybe in my second year I really feel like I've made a lot of changes and I want to have another ERS observation before my 3rd year anniversary, I can pay a small amount of money and we will send someone out to do that observation for them. So I'm going to pull out of that portal and pull up, now I'm in the test site so I can play around with data and show you information. So this is a fake ABC Child Care and Learning Center, and I'm going to walk you through from a provider's perspective how they go through and manage their portfolio. And Tiffany asked about the observations taking place every 3 years. No, this is our first year with our quality rating improvement system, and so this is the first time that we've had this system of annual observations and every 3 years doing our ERS observations. So I'm the director of this particular child care center, and I want to populate my portfolio. So I literally go in and hit View Portfolio. Before I hit that, I want to just draw your attention to my status information. This is updated every time I change status, so I kind of know where I am with my status. And also at the bottom of my page is all the resource information that I would need right at my fingertips to be successful. I think there was a question about how do we get people ready for the process of quality rated. In our state, we provided through all of our resource and referral agencies a 2-hour orientation, and everyone who participates in the project is mandated to attend that orientation prior to submitting their portfolio. And so there's a 2-hour orientation, and there's a 2- and a 4-hour introduction and orientation to the environment rating scales. The 2 hours is just the introduction course. The 4 hours is the in-depth based on the scale, and everyone is required to go to those trainings. And we were doing them every week all throughout the state to hundreds and thousands of providers. And we still offer them monthly in all of our resource and referral regions, those orientations and the environment rating scales classes. And Tanya asked about the difference between the annual review and the ERS observation. The annual review just looks at your portfolio, and the ERS observation is your first review, and every 3 years is your ERS observation. So I'm going to open the portfolio for you.
And Laura, I'll keep track of questions that we don't get to, so don't feel like you've got to immediately stop and answer everything. If we'll have time at the end, we can get to some if it doesn't make sense to stop and answer them now.
Let's see.
And while you're looking it up, we've had this question twice. Does the system populate all staff associated with the facility who are in the state's registry?
Yes, so that's the first thing I'm going to show you when we move into this portfolio.
Great.
So I'm going to open their portfolio, and probably one of the most amazing magical things the system does, magical for me, is to go in and populate just that information. So we recommend that programs populate the portfolio in order of the standards, and a nice feature is that each time you finish something in your portfolio, you get a nice, beautiful green check mark that lets you kind of chart your progress. So I'm going to complete some of the processes so that you can see that. But if I click on staff qualifications in this portfolio, you'll recognize that my staff for my center is already populated. So all of my staff have gone into the Professional Development Registry, they've registered, they've mailed or faxed in their certificates, their diplomas, they've mailed in their certified credentials, They've been checked by the same system that does all of our teachers teaching in public school systems in here in Georgia, the Professional Standards Commission. And once that happens, they pre-populate into their portfolio. So all I have to do as a director is verify that these are my staff. So if I go in and look at these teachers, I can say, well, Brittany Carter, her status is expired, but she no longer works for me, so I'm not going to check her box. And Celinda, she's also expired, and she doesn't work for me anymore either. So I literally check the boxes of the staff members that are in my program, and I've pre-checked all of the ones that say active. And then I say that I have one administrator, and let's count here, and 6 teachers. I go to the bottom, I hit the checkbox saying I've completed this section, and I hit save. And you'll see that green check pop up, letting me know that I've completed that section. Now that's not to say that tomorrow I hire a new staff member. She is working currently for another facility and has been in the PDR with another facility. So she's going to go to the PDR and she's going to update her file in the PDR, change the license number that is affiliated with her professional development registry number, and then the next time I log into the system, she magically appears on my roster, and I just get to select her so that she's counted in my selection. So we are looking at a couple of things in the quality rated in order to evaluate points. We look at their career levels. You start earning points in our system at the base level, star level 1, with a career level of 4, which is CDA. We're looking at the number of training hours above and beyond. Our requirements in our state are 10 hours, so at each level you increase the number of hours we require. And we're looking that they are active in the Professional Development Registry. So the next thing I would do is go into my classroom information, and I would populate my classrooms. So I literally would go in and assign classrooms. So I have an infant A classroom in my center, the age range. I have, let's say I have 8 children, I have 2 teachers and 8 children in this classroom. My highest ratio on the day is 1 to 6, which is our state ratio. But my lowest during the day is 1 to 4. I hit save. It's going to ask me if I want to add another classroom. I'll add another classroom. I can add a toddler classroom. Again, I select the age range, the number of teachers, the number of students. I populate my ratios and hit save. So I'll go through that process for each of my classrooms. I'm just going to actually give us a preschool classroom so I can mark this as saved. This is one of the obvious fields that we validate during our environmental rating scales visits. We have all this information on our laptops when we go out to do the ERS scales, so we can verify that the classrooms they reported are actually the classrooms. This person actually has a really high ratio of teachers to students, which would not put them in the highest point level for quality rated. Once I have put all my classrooms in, I literally just hit the box and say it's saved, and it goes in and gives me another green check mark. Then I go in and I put my teachers in the right classrooms. So I add a teacher assignment. So now I have my infant classroom. I'm going to put Crystal in there. She's going to work all week, and she works from 7 a.m. and let's say that she gets off at 4 p.m. And then I would add someone to my toddler classroom, etc. So once I have all of that in my system, I would be able to clear that out. Let's say that Kaylee only works on Wednesdays. I can just literally just choose Wednesday. And if she works a different time on Monday than she does on Wednesday, I would just go in and do Kaylee twice, once with her Monday time and once with her the next day that she works. So I'm just going to populate this one. Now I'm not going to be able to hit Save Complete here. Well, we'll see if it lets me. It's going to say, Laura, you can't save this. You're not complete because you didn't give a teaching assignment to everybody in their classrooms. So another great feature of the system is it won't allow me to make mistakes. So I've obviously said I have 3 classrooms. I did not populate my preschool classroom, so I'm going to have to populate that in order for the system to let me go ahead. But I'm going to move ahead, just looking at the time, to professional development plans. We require at the highest level that all the teachers have a professional development plan that is monitored by the administrators. And so here is where we add the professional development plans. So this gives me an opportunity to show you one of the features of the system. What if I don't even know what a professional development plan is? I've never heard of one. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I can literally come down to the resource area. I can go to Quality Rated Portfolio, click on it, and it will give me a sample professional development plan. I can use this plan, or I can make up a plan based on this on my own. I can add my center's logo to it, however I want to do that, but this is a format for a professional development plan that you could use and submit. So anytime we require a document or a form or a policy, we have given the providers a resource to go and be successful with that policy. If I'm really wanting to make sure I'm very organized and getting my portfolio developed, I can literally go here to my portfolio staff checklist. I can print this off. I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it a little bit better. And this checklist allows me to populate all my staff and keep track of all the things I need to have available to upload in my portfolio so I can make sure I have everything I need prior to uploading information. So we've given checklists and tools and any kind of resource that you might need to be successful. Now I'm launching our ratio count form. One of the things that we do require is that programs maintain a ratio count for 20 consecutive days, every hour on the hour in every classroom. One thing that we learned early on was that sometimes administrators never even realized that at 3:30 in the afternoon their classrooms were out of ratio. So this forces a program to really analyze staffing plans. It helps you decide when you're overstaffed, when you're understaffed, how you can really look at creating a staffing plan that's fiscally sound and the right thing to do for your children. So a lot of programs didn't have a form that they could calculate this data on, so we provided them with a form.
Laura, does it vary across programs as to who's filling out this information?
Yeah, it varies from either a program administrator to a curriculum coordinator. In our corporate cohorts, one of our standards, the curriculum standard, the intentional practices standard, is being populated by someone at the corporate office for all of their programs because they all use a mandated curriculum. They're on the same lesson plan cycle, so that person's filling it out. So there are many different types of users, and the skill level of users from a technology standpoint varies greatly.
And 2 more quick questions. What about teachers that work different schedules each day or that are floaters?
So then you literally would put that in. So if you know this person normally is typically as a floater, she relieves lunch in the infant room first, then she moves to the toddler room, then she has her lunch break and moves to a school-age classroom, you literally would add them in that way. You would list them as a school-age teacher between 2 and 4. You list them as a toddler teacher between 9 and noon. So the system allows you to customize that as you go.
And the same with a classroom that has mixed ages?
Absolutely. The other thing on the resource page I just want to draw your attention to is a lot of the questions that we get on the help desk have to do with environment rating scales. So here's a one-stop shop to get everything you need to know about the environment rating scale, not only the ERSI clarifications, but the Georgia clarifications, some of the resources for ERS, frequently asked questions based on a tool. If you click on a question, the answer populates below. So again, trying hard to make sure that people don't get stuck in having to wait for an answer, that they can come and look here to get their resources. One of the criteria that we require is about making sure that you have a policy regarding inclusion and confidentiality. Well, if you don't even know where to begin to create that policy, our statewide inclusion coordinator and her staff have developed a policy that you can use. So we put it on the database. We show you where you would insert your program name. You can modify it, but it meets all of our criteria, and you could meet with your board and adopt this policy or modify this policy. But trying to give everybody an equal playing field to get the resources they need to be successful.
I've got a question. The map that indicated your participation rates, you said technology wasn't a reported barrier. Have there been other barriers that have been common?
The biggest barrier right now is the huge backload that we have in our professional development registry, which is the greatest problem in the world to have. People are submitting trainings from 2001 that they want captured in their professional development registry. They want everything they've ever taken to count. And so teachers are really proud of their professional development, and they find that certificate from 1992, and they want someone to add it into their registry form. So because we've had such an overwhelming response, our registry is a little backed up in getting applications and resources online for the providers in a timely manner. So from submission to seeing my information on the computer system is active, it could be about 2 weeks, and we would like it to be more like 5 or 6 days. But that's been the biggest barrier that people have commented about, is just getting through and getting all their teachers in the registry as active with the correct information.
Do you get any complaints about the length of time it takes to get through the assessment observation process? How long does that usually take?
Well, it's a new system. Right now we guarantee that within 60 days you have your environment rating scales assessment. So from portfolio submission, within 60 days you'll get an unannounced visit. You do get to block out 10 days. So that we don't really want to come on picture day, and we don't want to come the day before a holiday if you're having a big holiday party. So we do allow them, very similar to the NEYC system, to block out certain days. But 60 days, and right now we have the manpower to do that. Talk to me in July, and I may tell you that we've hired a group of contractors to help us meet that deadline. I'm just going to quickly move into Standard 2, just so you can see the next standard, which is the Health, Safety, Administration, Nutrition and Physical Activity. If you go into this standard, you immediately get connected to our online assessment, which was developed in-house by our dietitian and nutritionist, Monica Fink. So you go in and you literally complete the assessment. I've completed it for us already, so I'm just going to hit Save and Continue to get us to the end. And this assessment generates a report that gives you some ideas of things you can maybe work on in regards to nutrition habits or physical activity habits or health habits. So once I go through and complete the questionnaire, it says, congratulations, I've completed it, and now I get to go and look at my results. So you can go in and look at the results. And the results are right here. So I'm just looking at one result for my nutrition action plan. I've got a bunch of minimal things met under breastfeeding and infant feeding. And maybe I just really don't know what I should be doing differently to support moms who are breastfeeding. So here's a resource guide developed in-house that you can open up right here from their website. I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it. It goes through each of the assessment questions. It gives you a hard copy of the assessment. We recommend that they do the assessment at a staff meeting and that every staff member completes it, and then you use the average score to report. And then, based on the assessment results, the next part of the manual literally gives you tips on ways you can improve your practices. So if the indicator is breastfeeding, here's why it's important. And here are some things I can do, simple things I can do to make a difference in supporting breastfeeding. And if I have some barriers, like I don't have an electrical outlet, or we really don't have a breastfeeding policy, or there's no budget for us to handle this, then we've given you some resources to overcome those barriers. So once you've received your assessment scores, it's time to write an action plan. You've read your resource guide. You have a good idea of some things that you're going to do. You click on Add My Action Plan. You select one of the indicators that you want to work on. I'm going to work on breastfeeding and infant feeding. Here it populates the practices I need to be doing, and then I literally will go in and write my goal. Let's say that I'm going to designate an area. The person responsible for this is going to be the lead infant teacher and director. I'm going to know it's been successful when I receive my parent feedback. So maybe I'm going to do a survey. And I'm going to complete this December 31st. I hit save. So I'm going to go through that with each piece. With my nutrition results and my physical activity results, I'm going to create this action plan. And then under my standard 2 other, I'm going to upload evidence that I've completed my plans, which could be pictures of the nursing mom area. It might be a copy of a letter that a mom wrote to me that said, hey, I really appreciate you doing that. It really helped me be successful. So we really do not have a prescribed piece of evidence they have to submit. We want it to be very individualized. So if I'm real into photography, I'm going to take pictures. Maybe I'm going to write a policy that we now have a breastfeeding policy in our program, and I'm going to upload the policy. So it really takes into consideration the unique ways that programs can demonstrate how they've met sources of evidence. We also require that programs submit documentation regarding health information and family resources. So we do require that they have written materials regarding immunizations, oral hygiene, and vision screening and hearing screening. So they have to really have a very robust parent resource center. So maybe this program is like, are you kidding me? Where am I going to find these pieces of information? And everything I find is only in English, and my parents speak Spanish. That's cool. They go to additional resources. They go to parent resource area, and we have populated all the required documentation that we require to be in a parent resource area, and it is both in English and Spanish. So here's a flyer that they can just open up. On the front page it's in English, back page it's in Spanish. They can print 25 copies, put it in their parent resource center, and they are successful. So again, for any time that we've asked them to do something, we've tried to make sure that we've given them the resources to be able to be successful. CPR and first aid cards. We do require 100% of the staff have CPR and first aid, and they literally just click on upload the evidence. We recommend that they keep a file on their desktop for their quality rated portfolio evidence. They hit the evidence and they upload it. They do have to always put a description of their evidence. So I'm going to put CPR and first aid cards for 5 staff members, and they upload that. I'll move to standard 3, which is the standard that deals with the 5 protective factors out of strengthening families. Here's where they literally go and access their 2-hour state-approved training. They click here. It gives them they have a username that they use called Strong Georgia, and that allows them to go in and take a 2-hour course and get their certificate printed. At the highest points level, at a 3-star, 100% of the staff have to have completed that training. Once they finish that, they then can also go in and access the Strengthening Families Assessment right here through their portfolio. So they don't have to know how to navigate the internet to get to that assessment. They just have to know how to get into their portfolio to be successful. They upload their Strengthening Families goals to this part of the website. They upload their written evidence that they have met family partnership goals, things like twice yearly parent conferences, policies around family involvement, training hours regarding inclusion, cultural and linguistic competence, evidence of written policies on inclusion and confidentiality. So for every bullet, there's a piece of evidence they have to submit, and they literally just come here and upload the evidence. And they check the box that says that they have completed that area, and then you see it gets a check mark. Standard 4 walks them through a curriculum questionnaire. They literally just click on an infant toddler curriculum questionnaire. It reminds them of NAEYC's indicators for effective curriculum and asks them to write a narrative that addresses each one of these indicators. So if they use the creative curriculum, they now need to articulate for me why the creative curriculum encourages active and engagement, why it is evidence-based, why children learn through investigation through the curriculum. So this is an opportunity for them to really talk about why they've chosen a curriculum, why the curriculum is intentional, and really practice describing an intentional curriculum. They do that both for their infant toddler program and their preschool program. There's also a checklist that they complete that goes through and helps them understand how their program's curriculum is meeting the quality rated criteria, about including children with disabilities, about building elaborate knowledge and abilities. I'm going to hit save and continue. And then it would go to the preschool curriculum. We require our programs to upload 2 weeks of lesson plans per age group, and those lesson plans have to indicate individualization for children with special learning needs, and the lesson plans also have to indicate a linkage to the Georgia Early Learning and Development Standards. So we do require at the highest points level that there not only be a curriculum, but there be a lesson plan that is aligned to the standards in our state and have individualized plans for children with special needs. If a program does not know what that would look like, they could come in here to inclusion and they can download a sample lesson plan. And that sample lesson plan will show you what a lesson plan looks like when it's aligned to the GELS, the Georgia Early Learning and Development Standards, and when there are individualized notes to support children with special needs. So again, we've tried to be overt in what we're looking for, so a program can have an idea of what does it look like to have an intentional lesson plan. The next piece of criteria here deals with assessment. We are looking for formative assessment as well as screening in our program. For formative assessment, they can upload assessment tools that they use, anecdotal notes forms, anything that they're using. They also have to complete a narrative that tells us how their assessments guide teacher practices. This criteria asks them to put in evidence of formative assessment, and this criteria asks them to include documentation of training regarding instructional strategies to support English and second language learners, and evidence of instructional strategies to support English and second language learners. So not only do you have training on the instructional strategies, what is the evidence that you do that with second language learners? And then standard number 5 is basically the standard that allows them to upload teacher-student data for ratios. So they literally will click on a calendar and begin a program, and they will enter in information about that program. I'm going to have to select classroom. So they literally are going to enter in data about that classroom. So they'll literally put in for that date the number of teachers, the number of students, and hit save. And they do that for 20 days per classroom.
Laura, is there any assessment or report from families that they have benefited through the Strengthening Families practices?
No, not yet. We don't have any data on that. And we don't collect that currently in the portfolio. So now that I have finished that, I just want to show you a little bit about how you can view the portfolio online. So when we're going through and we're looking at a portfolio to rate it, we're actually looking at a document that takes all the portfolio data and summarizes it into a report. So it goes through and shows us the teacher credentials, the classrooms defined, the professional development plans. So you can see all that information all the way to the bottom. And then when they've uploaded information, here they upload their CPR first aid cards. Here's how I view them so I can score that they actually sent them to me. So that's all in one place, is to look at that. So I want to jump out of this portfolio and go into a different portfolio.
And while you're doing that, somebody asked how long the planning phase was for this.
Well, we started in 2005 with a quality rating and improvement system indicator group that was just, worked on thinking about hundreds and hundreds of criteria that we were interested in looking at as far as talking about quality in our state. And that indicator group came up with, like I said, over 300 indicators that they wanted to be represented. And then we worked with our quality study here in Georgia and with FPG to narrow that indicators to be meaningful and relevant to each of the subcategories, what have turned out to be the 5 program standards. So, a very long time, well over 6 years of real intensive thought about the system. So I'm now in a program that has been rated already, and you see that they have a 2-star rating, this program. Again, I'm still in a test phase, so this is not a real portfolio. But I wanted you to be able to see, once I've been rated and I go to my site as the provider, this is what it looks like. It shows all of my statuses, what day I was rated on, when my annual review is due. It shows my quality rated status. It allows me to go in and view my incentives. And let's see. It just pops me out of there for some reason. So I can go back and hit it back up again. Well, it didn't want me to do that, so I'll pop into another one real quick. So I'm going to actually pop out of this one, and I'm going to go back into the live system because I want to show you what the scoring actually looks like, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions. So I'm going back into my view, the admin view. And I'm going to take you into a program that has already been rated. So this is one of the first programs rated in our state. So here is from my view, not the provider's view, of a program that has already been rated. So you'll see I have places where I can view the orientation training documentation, where I can view any comments that have been made on this program in their portfolio or otherwise, information that we've traded back and forth with the center. I can look at their application. I can upload evidence for them. I have the opportunity that if a provider says, please, Laura, I don't even know what you mean by scan. I don't even know what to do with that. Can't I just bring you my envelope and have you guys scan it? And although we discourage that, we've done it many times because we certainly want to be customer service oriented, but I can also upload evidence for them. I can also view the portfolio. I can view their portfolio history. As you can see, this is every time they opened up their portfolio, the dates and times, and actually who updated it. And then I can also look at their leveling. So that's what I wanted to show you. Here's a button that refreshes the ERS data. That's important because our ERS assessors are in the field using the Brana tablet tool, and they are uploading their assessment scores, and then prior to me leveling a school, I upload their ERS data. So I have the most recent ERS data, so I'm using exact data that's been inputted from the field after it's been approved by our anchor. And we have a state anchor for this system. And I probably shouldn't have pressed that button because now it's going to actually try to upload. We'll see if it continues to take a long time.
Don't kill it.
That's my tech person saying, don't stop in the middle. Let it run through the process.
Now, do you verify at each rating level, or is that done on more of a sample basis?
So we have an assessor anchor and we have an ERS anchor, and they both enter data, and then we have the quality rated manager who goes in and verifies that all the data is correct. before she accepts the data and gives them a rating. So we have a statewide anchor and manager who then oversees the whole process of making sure that the notes, that if I really want to score you a 5, that I actually put a 5 in the scoring tool. And this is what the scoring tool looks like on your screen now. So after I finish rating the portfolio, I can go in and add my points, and they automatically total. And then they total to give me what my portfolio score would be. So based on these points, there's an aggregate point that is assigned. I add in my ERS scores. This number, this average ERS score, is actually comes from the BRANA database, from the summary report. It's automatically populated from BRANA. It automatically tells me how many process points they've earned based on this score. This is important because if a program scored below a 3 in any classroom, they cannot meet our highest star level. So we have to hit yes or no here to make sure that we score them appropriately. Here's where we can give them bonus points, and here's how it all falls out. This program scored 20 points, and those total points equal a certain rating. So again, I'm back in a test mode, but then it populates with their number of stars. So I'm going to pull back out of this one and head back up to my main screen.
And the question that is on everybody's mind is, what did it cost to build this, and what does it cost every year to maintain it?
Okay, so because we built it in-house with our in-house resources, it didn't cost us any additional budget money to do this. But I know that Craig Detweiler is probably on the phone, and he oversees all of our technology efforts and IT efforts, and he could probably, based on staff hours, give you an idea of cost, and I could send that to you, Gerry, and you could get it out there. But again, we use totally internal resources, and everyone who built this site and designed it, it was all part of our job description and part of our funding. That my funding is part of quality dollars in the state. So it was not additional overhead that we had to raise, and none of it was paid for by our private dollars that are used for our incentives. So in that respect, I would say from a budget standpoint, this was the most reasonable way to go to get such a thorough system. And just some lessons learned, and then we'll have plenty of time for more questions. Our biggest lesson learned was keep it simple. We have 5 program standards. Each standard has 9 criteria or 9 indicators, depending on the language you use in your state. So we really tried to narrow down, if we want to say to a parent, this program has intentional teaching practices, what are the fewest items we could collect to help a parent make a decision that that program truly does have intentional teaching practices. If we want to say to a parent, hey, this program provides a good nutrition program, was the fewest pieces of evidence we could collect to be able to give a parent a peace of mind that they've selected a program that really thinks about nutrition. So we really did try to keep it as simple as possible. And we felt like between the portfolio and the environment rating scales, that those two very different lenses, one looking at the environment and the unique experience of each individual child over a 3-hour period of time, plus the portfolio, was a nice balance of self-reported data and child experience data. The other big lesson we learned is resources, resources, resources. I drive the IT people crazy. Almost every week I say, oh, post this resource, and let's send an email blast out about this part of the portfolio. So we send a lot of emails out, we clarify constantly, and we post a lot of resources, and we provide training to anyone who will listen to us. I spend a lot of my time, evenings and weekends, going out and doing presentations and meeting with clients, providers, to help them manage the quality rated program. Also, transparency. It was really important that we built a system that the user could see exactly where they were in the process and could see whether Laura took 2 weeks to approve something or 24 hours to approve something. And so at every point we've been very transparent and used providers and cohorts to help us define parameters, help us think about the data we were collecting. Everyone in this office at DeKalb thought I was the craziest person to collect 20 days, every hour on the hour worth of ratio and group size information. But I come from a provider perspective, and all the providers I talked to said we do this anyway, and it's important. This is important for us to manage our business, to understand the ebb and flow of staffing an early care and education program. So that transparency has also helped us be effective. And then finally, we would not be able to have done this without our FPG partners, without Bill's support of us meeting with FPG for long meetings and overnight meetings, and without Bentley Ponder and his research team guiding us to say, why are you collecting that? What does it mean to you? Why do you need to have these kind of demographics represented? What are you going to do with that information? So they really push us to be thoughtful before we make any drastic moves. So that's a whole lot in an hour. In 11 minutes.
I have lots more questions.
Okay, folks, please go ahead, shoot.
Well, so first of all, I'll say Carol Hartman spoke up on the chat box, and I'm not sure if everybody's able to see it or not. She said that you do have to pay for the ERS system, which is through Brana, correct?
Correct. We do pay for ERS. We have an annual license fee that we pay for each one of our assessors, yes.
And that you develop the system with CCDF funds, and that you can share the code for it for those who are interested. And then her third thing is that Peggy Ball and Desiree Reddickhead were invaluable. And I guess at the time they were with NCCIC, and now we're with the Quality Improvement Center and the State System Specialists.
It really pushed us to be very thoughtful and help and share with us what other states are doing too. That's always helpful to hear what other states are doing. No reason to reinvent the wheel if somebody's figured it out.
The next question, how many in-house staff do you have that are working on QRIS?
So I oversee the big picture and the rollout, and I have a manager who oversees a team of 10 assessors, and we have a quality rated portfolio assessor. So that's 12, I'm 13, and then we have a TA staff of about 4 people who are pretty regularly involved in supporting us. So at any given time, we have probably about 14 to 15 people who would say they're working on quality rated from an in-house. That I will say that our commissioner, Commissioner Bobby Cagle, is our best fundraiser, and he spends a lot of his time talking about the program and raising funds for us through private foundations. And of course, our Assistant Commissioner, Carol Hartman, who will talk to anyone who will listen about quality rated.
Another question, do you feel that 3 levels is sufficient, and how big are the jumps between levels?
So the jumps are pretty significant if you think about at the first level, you just have to have a curriculum. At the third level, it has to be aligned with assessment. It has to be aligned with lesson plans. Programs at the first level have teachers who have CDAs. Typically, programs at the 3-star level have a significant portion of lead teachers who have a minimum of bachelor's degrees. So it is a pretty good jump from each level. But that's a great question, and we don't know yet. And I don't think we'll know probably for 2 or 3 years whether or not we need to add a level to continue to move our progress. I mean, hopefully over the next 3 years, as people are working on their portfolios, many programs will move from level 1 to level 2, which would imply that we need to think about pushing our level 3 up to a level 4. So 3 levels was very manageable for us to start, and certainly it's our goal to continue as programs continue to get to the higher levels. If we start getting 50% of our programs meeting a level 3, we need a level 4. That's just an obvious step. But right now, we don't have the data to support that, and so we'll wait to see where that leads us.
So you've designed a system based on what the realities are now, and then you'll evolve and expand as
Oh,
you go
yeah. So
forward?
I will say that we were very focused on developmentally appropriate quality rating and improvement system. We know from our quality rated study, our quality study here in Georgia, that our infant toddler programs, our family child care programs, were having 1s and 2s as their average scores on ERSs based on our quality study. So developmentally, we needed to start right there. So we didn't push the envelope. We are very developmental, and that's why our incentives are really geared towards the lowest levels, because that's where we think most of our providers will end up in this first couple of years.
And somebody asked if you'd explain the connection with Frank Porter Graham.
Sure. So we have a contract with Frank Porter Graham to support research and evaluation for several programs, including quality rating and our quality rated program. And they also were the research entity that completed our quality study and are looking at a longitudinal study with pre-K. And we hope to repeat our quality study in the next couple of years, in 3 more years, so that we will be able to see if quality rated has made a difference in the quality here in Georgia.
And what is the capability of this system in terms of tracking longitudinal data?
So that's what we're working on now. We're building the technical assistance part of the quality rated database, and we are very hopeful that between our pre-K tracking system and our licensing system and quality rated system, that those 3 have the capability of merging data together to look at long-term changes for programs. Our quality rating improvement system at this moment in time is a program intervention, and in about 5 years we'll be able to see how the effects have looked for children. But right now we're really focused on the program intervention, knowing that program interventions undoubtedly, based on research, do affect children's outcomes. So, from a longitudinal standpoint, that's really important to us, and I think maybe we could schedule another whole call with Dr. Bentley Ponder, who could talk about the longitudinal work that we're doing here in Georgia around child data.
And we're going to try and be doing a series of calls with state QRIS administrators, so that may be something that we want to put at the top of the list to talk about as well. Is the orientation available in an online format for providers?
It is not.
Is there a plan to?
Right now, we don't have a plan to do the whole 2 hours online. Another lesson learned is meeting with people face to face, walking them through, having them touch paper and seeing the manuals has really helped have people not jump to conclusions, not overreact about things, and have their questions answered immediately by a live person. So we don't have plans right now to do an online orientation.
On the BRANA system, does the information about the below 3 score come from the BRANA system, or do you manually select that?
So at this moment in time, we manually select that. The only information that's downloaded, if you're familiar with the BRANA summary report, all that summary report, which is classroom data by indicator, all that is dumped into our system. So that we literally, the provider, when they get their quality rated information, they also get their summary report. So our data that is collected is classroom data per indicator.
And questions about incentives and bonuses. Are the director-teacher bonuses a one-time bonus or annually? And what types of incentives are available to providers?
So the bonuses are absolutely, the money bonuses are a one-time bonus. I'm going to share my desktop again, and I'll just throw up quickly for you the bonus packages so that you can see what they look like. So wouldn't it be nice if every year that you held a 3-star, you would get a bonus package? Yes, that would be really nice. But right now, it's when you're awarded the 3-star that you get your bonus package. I'm just going to pull up the bonus packages. I'm back on the Quality Rated website so you can see. So if this is a child care learning center, if they receive a level 1 or 1-star, they choose 4 packages. If they're a level 2, they choose 3 packages. If they're a level 3, they get everything in this column. So if you can kind of see these packages as I scroll through them, they go through and they pick these packages. At the level 3, they get the director bonus, the teacher bonus, scholarships to the conference, the GAYC conference, our affiliate with NEYC, and the administrators go to a 2-day conference on leadership. If I keep scrolling down, you'll get to see what is in the bonus packages. So if they choose a health and safety package, they get everything on this picture. You'll see, I'm going to scroll down to a very amazing package. I'll go to the ERS package, just because you can see. That's the school-age literacy package right there. This is the outdoor play package. They get everything that you see pictured here if they choose that package. They choose 4 out of the packages. If one of their areas they scored really low in was assessment, they could actually choose to get an assessment package to help boost their scores. They choose it in English or Spanish or both. So here's the ECHRS package. So if their ECHRS score were really low, and mainly because they had not enough materials for the children, they could choose this package at a level 1, which will help boost their scores the next time. So you see by these pictures, this picture and the one on the next page, these are amazing packages. So at levels 1 and 2, they're receiving between $4,000 and $6,000 worth of materials. This is the infant toddler package they can choose. So the incentives are, again, amazing and funded through private foundations.
And can people, so if they're at a 2 and then they move up to a 3, do they get another bonus?
They sure do.
No, and then when they re-up 3 years later, do they get another one?
You got it. So
Okay.
Every time they get a new level, they get a bonus. What's been amazing this first year is because we knew that tiered reimbursement would be ready to roll out in July, and we really wanted programs who were serving at-risk children to take advantage of as much of the incentives as they can and to really get their level of quality up in an effort to be ready to serve these children. We literally have programs who are submitting their portfolios now and being rated and are going to turn around and go back into technical assistance, resubmit a portfolio, have their teachers go back through the environment rating scales training, do more training, more technical assistance, and hopefully be re-rated to a higher level before tiered reimbursement. So in this first year, we are not charging for a second ERS observation to encourage programs to really have some intensive TA from now until July to improve their scores so they can take advantage of tiered reimbursement. Again, making sure that our families who receive CAP subsidy, Child and Parent Services subsidy, have access to our higher quality programs.
And who developed the resources and checklists and tools that accompany the system? Was that done in-house?
It was all done in-house. Monica Fink for the nutrition tools, and then myself and the assessor staff and many people here at DECAL contributed to the resources. The inclusion coordinators under our statewide inclusion coordinator did an amazing job of providing resources on working with children with special needs. Our cultural competency resources were a lot in part by our participation with the BUILD webinars and learning table on cultural competency and our work with Camille Catlett through BUILD to help us make sure that we had resources available to support cultural competency in programs. So a lot of people supported the resources.
Another question, you just showed us the different materials that go into those incentive packages. How did you determine what vendors you were going to use for that? Were there some sort of partnership or discount that you got from vendors that made you choose one over another?
So because we're a state agency, we did not choose a vendor because there's a whole lot of appropriations issues with that. So we actually worked with a nonprofit family connection provider who we contracted with to provide all of the incentives, and then they worked with a contractor based on pricing, and they hired someone to be the vendor that they're using to manage the incentives. So the private foundation dollars that we're raising are actually moved over to the nonprofit So they go from the nonprofit foundations to the nonprofit incentive agency, which is Family Connections, and they manage all parts of the incentives, from choosing the vendor to making sure the materials get delivered to the site, to reconciling all the money for the foundations. We also have Dole Food Company as our newest business partner, and they are providing amazing incentives for programs at each of the star levels, programs who have a significant proportion of children who are subsidized are receiving from Dole coupons for free, and that's the most important part, free healthy snacks for their children that go directly to the families. They also have donated gardening kits to 3-star centers so they can start outdoor gardening activities. They're providing tons of cookbooks that are appropriate for child care learning programs so that children can help prepare healthy foods. And they will be working with us to provide training to nutritionists in quality-rated schools on preparing healthy foods for children.
That's great. That's amazing. Is Dole a Georgia-based company, or?
No, they are not.
So you guys are.
They are wonderful partners with us.
Megan Fitzgerald in Illinois asked if the information shared on the packages can be shared with the group.
Absolutely. I'm happy to. I'll send that to you, Gerry, and you can distribute. That would be great.
Sure can. Okay. And she asked about tiered reimbursement as well. Is it an ad? We're still working on that, so you probably can't answer that question, can you?
So I saw that Louise was on the phone. So that we are heavily involved with Build and technical assistance on making sure that we get the formula right at least the first time. So we're really working on that. Right now, the plan is that tiered reimbursement will be a percentage added per level per child. We have not determined the percent because we want to make sure we're very thoughtful and we don't shoot ourselves in the foot by overspending. But again, we're really working on that, and probably the next few months through our work with Ann Mitchell and Louise and Build and APA Consulting, we'll have that problem solved.
Kristen Booth in New Hampshire asked about whether you're using a shared services approach that your programs can participate in. And I know Georgia is one of the states that has a shared services website. Is that something that's integrated in with your QRIS?
At this moment, it is not integrated in, mainly because again, from a procurement standpoint, it would be hard for us to push providers to certain vendors. But we've had a lot of really interesting discussions on how we can bypass that barrier and make that work. Right now, we consider our website the shared service for resources, and I think in the future we'll continue to talk with people like Louise Stoney about how shared services can be used in a state system without worrying about procurement or competition issues around vendors. As a state agency, we can't really recommend a certain training company or a certain insurance company that might be on a shared services site. And so we have to be really thoughtful, again, about how you do that and be a state agency that's recommending that site. So, again, I think it's something that we're really interested in. We just haven't figured out the appropriate way to do that.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for sharing all your time and what wonderful things you're doing with your system. This has been fantastic. And anything that you want to share to the full group, I will email it out to everybody who registered. I want to ask to the group who participated in this webinar, we'll be sending you a follow-up survey, and we'd really appreciate it if you would just respond to the survey. It's very quick. And as part of that, also let us know if there are other topics that you'd like us to bring webinars to you in the future as well. That's something we're interested in, being as responsive to your needs as possible. So thank you, Laura, for being a part of this webinar, and to everyone who participated as well. It was a great discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand by.